Well, thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And for the rest of you, so you'll want to do a podcast. Now, John Lee Dumas, the host of Entrepreneurs on Fire, says that podcasting is a great way to share your ideas, your knowledge with the world. Now, in 5 to 7 minutes, I can't share all you should consider before starting a podcast, but I can offer some insights to get you started. So let me share a little bit about me. I spent 11 years on radio, 4.5 years doing podcasts. And radio is powerful, but it's passive. People turn on a dial, they listen to a station all day. Sometimes it's you, sometimes it's someone else. But podcast is often deliberate listening. People choose the podcast they want to listen to. So why should you do a podcast? Well, you have something to say. All of us have something to say. You're knowledgeable or interested in something, and that's worth sharing. You might be a creative person looking for a way to express yourself. That's worth something. Or it makes sense for your brand or business. You might have a service or a product that you could support or promote through a podcast. Now, all those are reasons why you can consider doing one, but why shouldn't you do a podcast? Well, you shouldn't do a podcast to make money. See, until you have a consistent audience and a consistent podcast, you ain't going to make money. And if you're trying to make money all the time, it's going to get in the way of producing an effective podcast. The other reason you shouldn't do a podcast is you want to be famous or an influencer. Again, you need to build a brand. You need to build a consistent audience before fame or influence can even come your way. Don't put those artificial barriers in the way. And you shouldn't do it because everyone else is doing it. This isn't riding a bike with your friends to the park. Podcasts require intention, attention, and desire. And the last issue to consider about doing a podcast is how much time are you willing to put forward toward doing your podcast? It requires preparation, planning, and presentation. If you won't put time into it, you won't get the benefit out of it. So some of the benefits of doing a podcast is people can listen anywhere while doing dishes or walking the dog or driving a car. Plus, you have people's undivided attention as you offer free, targeted content. And with a podcast, you're automatically international. You'll be on Apple Podcast and iTunes, and people all over the world will be able to listen to your podcast. And a podcast becomes a timeout from the hustle and bustle of your life. It's a time when you can share your thoughts, opinions, and ideas with the world without someone over your shoulder. Now, if you don't believe you have anything to share, then don't do a podcast. It's that simple. But if you want to share information about a hobby, an interest, your career, a skill set, or something you might be interested in learning more about, which you'll research to present, then you have enough information to start a podcast. Don't worry about how many people listen. You can pre-record, publish the show, and let the show live on its own on the internet. And if you don't publish your podcast, you can't gain an audience. If you don't do your podcast, you can't get experience doing a podcast. And you don't have to do 15, 30, or even 60 minutes. You can start by making 5-minute little broadcasts on one thing to get you more proficient and experienced and comfortable with doing the podcast. Don't try to be a DJ. Be natural. Be you. There's only one of you. So you start out by having a conversation with you to the camera. Now, just like a speech, you need an opening, which is where you say your context and content, what you're going to talk about. You need a middle, where you talk about what you're going to talk about, and a close, where you summarize what you've discussed. And then you do a callback to say when you're going to podcast again. Remember, it's a conversation with you. You don't need to worry about who might be out there or who isn't out there. Just have the conversation with you. Now, in this presentation, unfortunately, there's not time to talk about equipment or podcast platforms or home studios, or whether you should do a video or pre-record or just do audio or do live. Those are all decisions that come a little bit later. But your starting investment is to have a good microphone and headphones or earbuds. Don't use your built-in microphone and audio on your computer. The sound differential with a good microphone is so much better. And don't worry about the sound of your voice. Your voice is a part of who you are. Just make your voice as conversational as if we were sitting across a table drinking coffee or tea. Now, I've posted in the chat a sheet that provides some tips on organizing your show, tips on microphones and headphones, a resource to learn about the types of microphones and which one might serve you better, as well as training on how to do a podcast on Udemy, which is only $17. So what I'm going to share with you as the closing thoughts are: plan your podcast, prepare your podcast, and present your podcast. Remember, you start small, you start right where you are, but make sure you start. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you for those words of wisdom. That was very inspiring, and it really makes me think that I should just do it. I think sometimes we let fear get in the way, and that can stop us from doing something really great. So I really, really appreciate those words of wisdom. And I got some messages behind the scenes about, is it okay if we maybe take like 5 minutes or so? Can we ask you some questions? Does anybody out there have any questions for Solarzar based on his speech? I'll open it up.
Yeah, Gina. So I have one question to Salazar. Firstly, thank you so much. It was a great, inspiring, words from you. So yeah, the fear part, right? I think what Gina mentioned, right? Like how people will perceive your podcast. That's one of because we are in US and then we come from an Indian background, right? So you're going to be. I mean, I'm planning to do a podcast with diverse people, right? So with of different ethnicities. So I'm little bit, having little fear because of the language barrier maybe or the accent barrier. So how would you kind of, any wisdom thoughts on that? How should I prepare myself?
Sure. And I'm going to start back on something that I've said, which is, remember, take away the person you're going to talk to for the moment.
Yeah.
You're not looking at an audience out there. You're looking at your screen, your camera.
Right.
If you're using Zoom as a platform, you have the opportunity to send it out as a video or an audio, by the way, at the end, but you can practice enough of them before you publish.
Right.
You don't have to publish each and every one. If you're interviewing me on the podcast, you could send me a copy of it, but maybe you're saying, I didn't like the way I looked or what I did. Practice it. You get to see it and review it. Practice some 5 little minute segments of your own with no one else. And
Okay.
just see how you come across. And for instance, I have a background here. And so am I disappearing in my background? Am I doing things? Should I change backgrounds to see how I look? And then because the camera is the eye of the audience, as long as you're talking to that camera, you don't have to worry who's on the other end. It's just, does Kapil like what you're putting out to the world? Are you putting out good information? I hope that answers your question.
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it answers. But just quick follow-up. So like when you said I should practice, because in the podcast, I'm not going to be a speaker. I'm going to be more of a host asking questions to, some leaders of my company. So how would I prepare myself? Like, because I mean, the answer I'm expecting from the leaders, I will be just more of like a host asking questions and, affirming to their answers, so yeah.
Well, practice with just you asking questions.
Okay.
Just how are you asking it? Are you asking questions like this? So Kapil, what type of topics do you want to talk about? Does that sound like somebody would want to even listen to what you're saying?
No.
Or are you just saying with the energy you have now, that beautiful smile, are
Yeah.
you saying, Jenna, what would you like to do in this? Or how would you like to do your podcast? Or what's going, and you could practice that and say, yeah, I like the way I come across. I come across naturally.
Okay.
And then when you do an interview, I don't want to take too much time, Jenna, so you cut me off at any time, by the way. There are a couple of questions, but when you do an interview, remember that person is the star. And what you're trying to do is make them comfortable.
Right.
So you want to get information from them, but let them be comfortable. But you're the host. I'm at
Right.
your party. So you're the one that manages the environment. You've got to come across naturally because I'm not coming back to hear them next time. I'm coming back because I like what you're doing. So I probably should go on. I think Eva was next. Is that okay, Kapil? He's on mute. So that's
Okay.
how I speak all the time.
Thank you. So thank you so much for that speech. It was very, very interesting, all the insight that we got. I have one question more about your mindset. When you start a podcast, you mentioned that it takes time to build audience. So after a few months that you are doing, this is a work that you are doing most of the time. In my case, was doing on my own, doing it in our yes, meeting a lot of people, doing interviews, all this stuff. But after a certain time, when you don't see it getting, you get bigger and bigger, but not at the level that you wanted. So how you continue have that mindset to do it, to continue and don't give up?
So, Eva, when you were born, did you come out of the womb walking?
No, definitely.
Right. So you kind of laid around a little bit and then you learned to crawl. And then one day you pulled yourself up by the leg of a table and you took a step and you fell on your butt. And then you kept at it. So here's what I'm going to say is that get away from the idea that you want to have a million listeners. Get away from that idea versus the idea that you want to have a quality podcast, a podcast that you're proud of sharing. So once you have that, you can provide that anywhere. You can provide it on YouTube. You can provide it on podcast platforms, and then you promote it. Now you're in the business of promoting it, but get the product you want. Start to walk before you run. And once you're walking really well, you can promote your podcast out to other people. And when I had guests, my guest, for instance, Vanu is my guest. And what do I expect Vanu to do? I expect him to market it that Vanu is going to be on my show. I also expect him to share the fact that he was on my show after he was on the show. So now what I've done is I've added one person to my marketing. And then I do the same thing with Dalal when she's a guest on my show. And then I do with Nitish. So all I do is keep adding these people. So now my show is out there in all these different places, which makes it respond better to the search engines, as you know, for SEO. But it also gets the name out of the show into more places. So I just start building it by building my connections of people that I speak with. Does that help answer your question?
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and then probably I should end with Uttam, if that's all right, Jenna. Yes. Yeah. Uttam, thank you for your patience.
No problem. Solarzar, anytime listen to you, always a pleasure. Always a good thing. Before I ask the question, I'd like to thank our Toastmaster and sending us the email forming this club. And I did not know the format, number one. Number two, how often we're going to meet. My office meeting is scheduled for this week, but I hope to have to block it in a way once I know the format and then how often we are going to meet. If it's weekly, so be it. If it's bi-weekly, I just would like to know.
Well, yeah, we can. This is our very first meeting, and so
Yes. Yeah.
we are planning on continuing to just meet during this time. We'll send out invites. I think right now we're gonna try, maybe we're thinking every other week. 1 week
Okay.
is going to be a regular meeting, and then for people who want to be on the planning side of it, we already have a group of planning, but if you want to join with the planning side of this, we're really trying to make this club what we want this to be. So if
Sure,
you
I would love
want-
to. I can ask the question to Solarzar. Once again, thank you for the speech. You opened up, you started giving a lot of insight to this speech. Why podcast? But the thing is that it probably looks like from outside, from as a person who is not public talker, public talker coming to the Toastmaster is a public speaking, building the confidence. But you have 11 years of radio host, talking in the radio. So you already in the public area. But it is a valid question. What drove you? Because you already have the platform. Why do you need podcast?
Well, actually, that's an excellent question. But because I saw podcast as a much more flexible and universal method of sharing a message. Now, when you're doing a radio show, you actually have a total timed sheet. There's certain things there's certain things you do in a certain sequence, and you have to have your breaks at a certain time and everything else. Podcast is a little bit more flowing. You don't have to have breaks if you don't want to in your podcast. Also, it gave me more flexibility in the people that I was interviewing. So for instance, let's say I broadcast my show at 6 p.m. on Thursday, but I've agreed to come to this club and speak or be a member of this club or do something else. Well, I can pre-record that interview. I can pre-record that show, and I could just post my podcast at 6 p.m. on Thursday. I don't have to be there. So there's a little more flexibility that I found in podcast. Another area, one of the reasons I initially got into it, though, is that the station I was working with was selling off their broadcast license, and then I bought the studio and turned it into a podcast studio. So I ran podcasts with other hosts and everything else. I ran the whole studio. That got me into it, but I found it very flexible. It gave me a lot more flexibility than being in a block time of a radio studio at a certain time. Does that answer your question, Tom? And by the way, you don't need a whole studio. Like I said, you can start right where you are and be very effective.
Hey Gina, I have just one quick question to Solar. So basically, like I'm planning for a video podcast, and when I was like talking with some people, right, they were talking like podcast is more of a audio. So I just wanted some perspective from you on that. Like if I do like a video podcast, like and post it in some our company internal platform. And people, the way I'm thinking people will kind of tune into that is like they will open that browser and do whatever they want to do, right? Their work, and they will listen the audio while they're working. So is that a good idea of the way I'm thinking to organize this podcast?
Well, using Zoom as a platform, I'm saying using Zoom. I'm not saying you
Yeah.
have to use Zoom. Zoom
Yeah.
is a platform, as you know, when you're done with Zoom,
Right.
you're going to get a video and an audio.
Yes.
You could post, the audio has a lower bandwidth. It's much easier to post in multiple places. And if people just want to listen instead of watch, you could
Right.
also post that in multiple places, and you could still have a site where you do your actual video. Now,
Right.
I have to be quite honest. I always felt I had a face that was made for radio. So when I first got to doing video podcasts, I had some issues with that because I myself didn't like seeing myself. I had to get used to that. So
Yeah.
that's the other thing. You don't have that issue with your face. But I'm just saying you have the opportunity to have both. You can have a platform for the video podcast, but you can also make the audio podcast available to people going
Okay.
forward.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Thank you.
I've taken up so much of your time. I apologize for that.
Don't even apologize. This was all very valuable knowledge, and let's just give Solarzar a really big
Yeah.
round of
Before
applause.
that, Salazar brought up another point that he mentioned that he doesn't have face or appearance for video, only for audio. But on the other hand, he mentioned Kapil has video face. The only difference I see, Salazar, besides the age difference, like many of us have, you don't have hair like I don't. Kapil does. So are you saying that you and I don't have face for the video?
No, no,
I'm just kidding.
no, no, Usam, you definitely have a face made for video.
Ah, I love it. I mean, I think we're our own biggest critics, but when you start something that's yours, when you start something that you're passionate about, I think that's what counts the most. If you are your true authentic self and you're putting that out there, that's what people are going to be attracted to. I mean, you could look however you look. I could be wearing the craziest things, but if that's you and you own it, then I think that's really the best thing that you can be is yourself on video or on podcast. So I'm so grateful for you, Salazar, for being here. And this is the value of this Toastmasters Club, is that we can bring guests in, we can learn from experts, we can get encouragement so that we can start spreading our messages, whatever you're really passionate about. So I know that we actually had a Q&A assigned to the end. So I just told Nitish that we're going to take some minutes off of the end of the Q&A since we did get some of our questions in there, and we're going to let him do table topics. So with that, let us welcome Nitish to introduce our table topics for today.
Thank you, Gina. I'm loving the energy in the room. I love the questions and love the speech. Great ideas. One thing that Jenna said, don't let fear get in the way. So this is the time for you to step up and shine. I'm going to share some interesting table topics. Since this Toastmasters Club is about content creation, today's theme is content creation. Let me quickly share my screen.
So Nitish, you're just talking like a content creator itself.
Well, thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Do you see the table topics?
Yes,
in
the
bold?
table topics image. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna call volunteers to participate in the table topics. For the benefit of our guests, I'm going to repeat the rules, or rather be flexible, but yeah, there are rules in Toastmasters. So take care of the timing restrictions. For table topic, green light goes off at 1 minute, at 1:30, yellow, and red at 2. So I would like to invite Sandro to be to attempt our first table topic. Sandro?
All right, Nitish, go ahead.
All right. So we have 4 themes: podcasts, social media, visual media, books. Today's table topics is in Jeopardy style. So you can choose your area of interest and also choose a number.
Okay.
I can't guarantee the difficulty level of the questions, but yeah, feel free to choose a number.
I'll take podcast for 300 then.
Awesome. So the question for you is, wow, if you were a guest on a podcast, which podcast would you like to be on?
All right. Thank you, Nitish. I would say that for me personally, I'm more of a content consumer, and the kind of content that I like to consume since the pandemic has been, I've been very interested in money and inflation. So I would probably go on some sort of talk show related to that. I've been reading some books on that, watching some YouTube videos. And I wouldn't say I was an expert at these things, but I read enough stuff to, open my eyes to how things work in banking sectors and how money works and why inflation happens and all that sort of stuff. And I think what led me to that is just, I want to retire someday. And, after the last, couple of years where, prices are, gone up like 50% on a lot of stuff, it became interesting. So I would probably go, let's see, I'm trying to think of one of my favorite podcasters. There's a guy named Azul on YouTube. I like listening to him. He talks a lot about retirement and stuff. I don't know if anybody's seen him. He's very low key. The thing I like about his YouTube podcast, he's always going for a walk, and he feels like your elderly father or somebody just giving you some homely advice, just the way he does it. And it's very down to earth advice, nothing extreme, because you see a lot of podcasts where they're trying to get your attention right away, and it's the big title stuff. So unfortunately, I don't think he does a lot of interviews. I think he's like done one or two, but if he did do an interview, I would love to be on his show. Natish?
Thank you, Sandro. Yeah, I could really connect with where you said if someone is talking to you like your father, grandfather, you sort of get captivated by those podcasts. And that happens to me all the time. Thank you so much for sharing that. Next, I would like to invite Jay. Jay?
Hi there.
All right, so let's look at the categories. And do you have a pick?
I guess social media at 100.
Yeah, let's go for social media at 100. How has social media impacted your personal or professional life?
Well, what I'm thinking is I was running meetup groups for 10 years in the past. And I had to stop my group because I lost my office due to COVID. So that's put me back online and even doing what we're doing right here and now. So, and I think too, if I'm not up on social media right now, I'm going to have no business because my clients were coming from my meetup group. We used to meet live in person, and I have about 2,000 members of those groups. So social media is very, very critical in this day and age. And I would say if you're trying to run a business and you're not online, you're not in business. That's what I would say.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay, for sharing that. Yeah, indeed, social media impacts each one of us in different ways, and I'm glad it has helped you to a great extent. Thank you for sharing your story and message. Next, Kapil, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure, Nitesh. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll go with the 400 in podcast.
Yeah, I know you will pick podcast. So here it is. If you had a podcast, what would it be titled and what would it be about? I'm sure you have thought about it.
Oh, really? I mean, this is a piece of cake for me because I already prepared, what I wanted to cover, So I'm thinking of a podcast on leadership, and it would be like more of like it will reside within my company. Like, so I'll be meeting on my company leaders and, asking about the leadership questions. Like the questions would be like, about mentoring, about how to succeed within the ecosystem of our company, and stuff like that. So my topics will be more focused on helping the leaders or the aspiring leaders to become future leaders. So, and then for me also to gain perspective from all the knowledgeable people in the company. So that's my that's the theme of my podcast, at least for now, to start with. I'll see if it gets successful. If not, yeah, I'm expecting it will be great learning for me. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you, Kapil.
you.
If you don't mind, can you share the title? Or have you thought about the title of your podcast?
The title, I'm still to think about it, but I have thought of the episodes, but it would be more around the leadership, something about, I will put a leadership keyword in that, but I haven't thought of the full text of the name. So yet to find out. I'm looking for something catchy name. So basically it's you have to put some research into that.
Yeah, take your time. Yeah, sure. But yeah, I love the idea. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's ask Eva.
Yes. Okay, I will say visual media 500.
Awesome. You are really brave. So here you go. Looking ahead, what do you predict will be the future of visual media? And how can individuals and industries adapt to these changes?
Well, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, Table Topics Master. That is very interesting to look to in the future about visual media. And what I heard now is already the way they are using AI is that even you don't need to be, if you don't want to be in the video, you can create someone as you want. You can create a person, a virtual person, and this person can talk the way you want it to. And even you record or you ask someone to record the voice, and you can record it even in different languages. And this person also, so this is very interesting because we are living already almost in the future, but it's so interesting how to catch up to do those things at the same time because the things go so fast. Yeah, but yes, definitely I think that it will be very interesting, very, very at the same time challenging like now to identify what is true or what is not from reality because it can be very real. And yes, I think it's just up to us to discern and to be very also knowledgeable about the news or things that we are consuming. So definitely the challenge to adapt to that is, yes, to keep up with all this technology, and is what we're doing here in this club, in Content Creators Toastmasters Club. Thank you. Back to you.
Awesome. Thank you. You really brought out a really good point. Like with AI coming in, it's going to transform the whole experience. But at the same time, there is opportunity for content creators to step up and show their real power. So thank you so much. With that, let's go to our next volunteer. I see Zoom user. I'm sorry. I
Hi,
just see Zoom
sorry.
user.
I'm Rose.
Oh, welcome, Rose. Would you like to try the next table topic?
Yes, well, I want to start a podcast, so I'll go for podcast 300.
I think 300. Oh, 300 is already done.
Oh, okay.
Can we
So
can we go for 400?
okay, let's go for 400.
Oh, you did
Well,
400.
this is also done.
Oh, 200.
Okay, here's the one for you. What are the characteristics of a good podcaster? What do they do to keep an audience engaged?
Oh, I love this question. Thank you for putting this question. I've been thinking about this. I think what makes a good characteristic as a podcaster is that being your true self, being your authentic self. For me, the way I want to start my podcast is just to make it enjoyable, and I just really want to express my healing journey and how it transformed my life and how did it help me. And so and I just want to make it enjoyable, fun, and express my true self, my authentic self, and from there we'll see what happens. I really don't have any attachment to like viewers, if I'm gonna make money. It's just really more about expressing myself. And I think that's what makes it a good podcaster, because if you're expressing your true self, people loves that kind of energy because they can see that, like, wow, she's enjoying it. And it shows really confidence in you when you're being your true self. So thank you.
I could totally see the passion with which you were expressing yourself. So thank you so much. for sharing the characteristics of a good podcaster. And well said, authenticity is the key. So thank you for sharing that. Let's go to our next volunteer, Anna. Would you like to try?
Which one? There are two Annas.
Yeah, you. Can you
Okay.
go next, please?
All right, so let's go with visual media for 200.
200. Okay.
Yeah.
Please share a favorite piece of visual media, example, artwork, photography, film, that has had a lasting impact on you, and tell us why.
Okay, I wouldn't know where to start with this one because there are so many, but I can refer to a great filmmaker. He's a Chilean author, and he's also a psychologist. Has done extensive work on tarot and Jungian archetypes. His name is Alejandro Jodorowsky, and his films are very, very striking. He used to work in the 60s, 70s, thereabouts. His films are very visually impactful. And his aesthetics has greatly influenced my work. So yeah, I think that he as a creator is a great source of inspiration for me.
Wow. Thank you, Anna. What I love about the table topic session and the whole meeting is you get to learn so much within 1 to 2 minute speech. Talk about so many things and your inspiration. And I'm sure you have a lot to share in the coming meetings. We would love to see your artwork. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's go for one more. Uttam, would you like to go next?
Sure. Well, we already know what Salazar thinks my face on the podcast. So that's not going to work. Salazar, I'm just going to pick on you on this day. After this, no. Social media, I have mixed feelings about the social media.
Okay. Social media?
No, not yet. I said
Not
I have
yet.
mixed feelings, so not
Okay.
sure. Visual is the same thing. So nobody touched a book, so I'm going to hide behind the pages of book. How about books?
Awesome choice. Yeah, I was
Let's
thinking
start with the
someone would
middle.
pick books.
Books on
Which number?
300. I don't know what's
300.
on the 200 and 500. Let's go to 300.
Okay, it's 300 for you. Please share a book that inspired you to make a positive change in your life or pursue a new interest.
Oh, thank you. This book, this particular line, I don't think it's a book itself. Book had 500 plus pages. But in one paragraph, it is just stayed with me for the last 30 plus years. I took that class, I believe in the mid 80s in summer. Teacher came from India and she taught this class. This is a specific to someone's life, someone's teaching, someone's how that person led a nation to freedom. I'm talking of Mahatma Gandhi. In one page, in one section, he taught himself how not to see a person and have a feeling. Not feeling means have some kind of positive or negative reaction. You know, when we walk on the street, you see someone, either get close to that person or move away, right? We have that kind of some kind of sense that we build in with the either bias on negative bias or positive bias. But Gandhi practiced not to have that. So what I did is that I took that an example, I tried to practice. Trust me, it is difficult. Just walk on the street and see, when you see someone not having a view of the person, that's kind of unrealistic. Even though it is noble, even though it is realistic, even though it is ideal, but that's not real. That's not realistic. Because we are product of the environment that we see every day, what happens to each other. So therefore it's very difficult. But that's what he did. It's a difficult thing to do, but that's what he did. How can we make ourselves a better person? Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Awesome, Uttam. Yeah, that took me to my school days, because if I am like guessing it correctly, there used to be a paragraph in my school books that said Gandhiji's talisman, and it was there in every book, and it had this message. So it took me to those days, but thanks for reminding me of that, and thanks for sharing it with the whole group. Let's ask, I see Jane just joined. Jane? Jane?
Jay?
No, Jane. I see Jane.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Let's ask Ritesh. This will be our last table topic. So, Ritesh. Okay. Ritesh is not responding. Jim, did you raise your hand? Do you want to go next?
I can. I was just giving you a thumbs up on the time, but if you need a
Okay.
volunteer, I'll do one. If somebody else would like to go, that's fine too.
All right. Next question is for you. Go for a category and a number.
Okay. I don't think we had podcast for 100. I guess I'll start there.
Awesome. Pretty straightforward. What is a podcast that you love to listen to? What do you like about it?
Okay. The first podcast that pops into my mind, and I've been listening to things like podcasts for a long, long time. I used to record radio programs that would come up on NPR and listen to them during my commute. And eventually I came up with a few other interests, and my commute became a little bit longer, so I had even more time to listen to podcasts. And one of the ones that a friend of mine pointed me at is one called Airplane Geeks. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. There are 3 or 4 different people there from different facets of the aviation industry, pilots, builders, historians, and they come on, drone flyers, and they come on and they talk about a different aviation topic every week. Sometimes it's flying the airlines, sometimes it's military warbirds. It varies every week, and the variety and the banter between the main participants and their guests is always a bunch of fun. It reminds me of a group of old pilots who've just gathered in a hangar and are talking and swapping stories among themselves. And here they are doing it in their home studios scattered across the country and the world, and sharing it with probably hundreds of thousands of listeners. So that's a really, really nice podcast. I think they do a 1-hour show every week, and it's the Airplane Geeks. Thank you.
Wow, Airplane Geeks. Nice name. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Thank you. With that, it's time to conclude the table topic session. I loved all the speeches, and I would especially want to thank Jenna for creating these slides. Although I was the presenter, but it's Jenna who created these slides. So thank you so much, Jenna, for offering the slides. And with that, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Nitish. I'm going to pass it over to Dalal, who is our general evaluator.
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmasters. I'm still in awe of the whole table topic, so give me a moment to catch my breath. I'm gonna start with our functionaries for today's meeting. We will call on our accountant, Sandro, please, for your reports.
All right, Dalal. Now, before, what I'm going to do is make it easy for everyone. I'm just going to tell you if you were over 5 filler words. That means filler words are like ahs and ums, you knows that are unnecessary ands. But if you feel like you're getting depressed because you have more than 5, here's what I recommend you do. You get on YouTube and you look up President Barack Obama's old speeches, and you'll feel much better. It works for me, so don't get depressed. Okay. Jenna, you're over 5. Let's see. Kapal, you're over 5. Anna, you're over 5. Let's see who else is over 5. Rose, you're just over 5. Uttam, you're over 5. And Kanal, you're right at 5. I guess that's not really over. So, and I tried to count myself, but it's always difficult when you're speaking. So, and one thing I do notice, if you're a podcaster especially, is whenever you're on a computer, the ahs tend to go up. And also when you're doing like impromptu speaking, you tend to have a lot of ahs. Whenever you're thinking about something, you're going to go ah. And if you're going to be content, at Toastmasters, we strive to try to decrease that as much as possible. And probably as a content creator, you also want to decrease it as much as possible. You slip a few and it's probably no big deal. And again, don't get depressed. Go watch our ex-president speak and you'll feel fine. Back to you.
Thank you for that report, Sandro. And I snuck right through because I don't need you counting mine. And next up, we're going to get a timers report from Venu. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Today we had such a great time-complying speeches. The first was Solarzar, 6 minutes, 27 seconds. He had 7 minutes. And then when we come to the table topics, we had Sandro, 1 minute, 38. Jay, 52 seconds. Couple, 59 seconds. Eva, 1 minute, 53 seconds. Rose, 1 minute, 5 seconds. Anna, 1 minute, exactly. Uttam, 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Jim, 1 minute, 30 seconds. We typically recommend to talk at least for a minute. So that way you at least get going all your thoughts in table topics. That's what we recommend. But next time around, try to be there at least until 1 minute. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Venu Vettapalli. Appreciate the timers report. And I want to give a big thank you to our guests, to our functionaries, to our speakers today for showing up and making this such an incredible meeting. I want to thank Jim as Sergeant of Arms, starting us off right on time, but allowing guests to still trickle in. And Gina for having such a warm and welcoming vibe and energy. You did such an incredible job as Toastmaster and kept us engaged and eased us throughout the meeting in such a enjoyable way. So thank you for that as Toastmaster today. I want to thank Solarzar for the juicy speech. I really gained a lot out of that, and I found myself becoming so enthusiastic and motivated to actually take this journey of being a content creator on. It was practical information, but at the same time, I felt the passion igniting in each and every person, which led to the impromptu Q&A section that we had, which I think added such a depth to our meeting. It was questions that I'm sure many of us had lingering in the back of our minds. So having a little space to engage that with our speaker today really added a beautiful depth to our meeting today. So thank you for that. And for our table topics. I am still taken aback by how creative that was. Everything about it, the imaging, the Jeopardy style. Nitish, you did such a great job with that, and all our speakers that took it on. I gained a lot of information, inspiration, and sentimental from Uttam. You have a very sentimental way of speaking. It romanticizes things for me. So every speaker had such a unique personality that you could really feel come through. And I think that's what's incredible about a content creators meeting is each of us has a way of being creative that is original and authentic to them. And that really came across in our table topics today. Overall, I think this was an incredible demo meeting. I can feel the energy, the enthusiasm, and the desire for each of us to venture on this new journey of being content creators, from books to podcasts to visual audio. It's limitless what we can learn from each other. And I felt that energy today in this meeting. Just makes me very excited to continue this path and to continue to learn together. And thank you all for such a great meeting. I'm gonna pass it over to our Toastmaster, Gina Picada. Thank you.
Thank you, Dalal. That was a great evaluation of this meeting. And like I said earlier, this is really one of the valuable things about Toastmasters is that we're able to give feedback in the form of evaluations. And this is what helps us grow and become the best version of ourselves. I'm going to open it up for just a little bit. I know we have until 6:45. I do want to throw it out there, but before you all leave, I do want to take a picture. Actually, should we just do this now before anybody has to drop out? So if you want to be a part of our picture for our very first demo meeting, I will encourage you to come off of your camera if you don't mind. And we will take a few screenshots. I just need to remember how to do it on this computer. Let's see. I'm going to do full screen. All right. So everybody smile. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do one more just so that we have it. Here we go again. And you can make a face. I don't know. Be fun. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. And I do want to open it up. Does anybody have any questions, any more questions for Solarzar while he's here? Any questions about this club? Any ideas of like feedback of how this went? Ideas of what you would want moving forward? This club really can be whatever we want it to be. That's the power of starting up a new club like this.
I saw somebody posted that there is a sign up page.
Oh, yes.
Is it possible to send it in the email instead of Zoom? Because as soon as I close, I lose the connection and that link.
Yes. So I can do, well, I'll do a follow-up. If you were in the meeting,
Sure.
yeah.
The question I want to ask.
Address, Tim, or did
Say
you
it
fill
again?
out the registration form before?
Yes,
just
I
want to make
have.
sure we have your email address.
Probably I have a completed registration from 2 times minimum, probably more.
Okay.
Okay, then we have your address.
Yes.
All right. You have a question for Solarzar?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Question for General.
Oh.
That are we planning to make this a formal club? I would love to be part of it.
Yay. I love to hear that. Yes, we are going to continue to hold meetings. And until we so in order to make it a formal club, we need 17 new members. That means not current Toastmasters. So we do have a bunch of people in here who are currently in Toastmasters clubs. Yes, you can join, but we also need 17 new members. So I want if you know anybody who has the desire, the aspiration, or even if you think that they have a really great message that potentially could turn into something that they put out there, share this with them. You know the power of Toastmasters. You got to feel the power of what it is to do impromptu speaking and speak to these topics. So we'll continue this until we grow it. I mean, my heart is really in this club. So I want to see this through.
Gina,
Chartering-
this is Jay. I wanted to share something. Salazar reminded me of something very important. I got going this whole thing by doing radio in New York City. I was at Columbia University on WKCR. I had a weekly show Sunday nights for 3 hours music, and it led to all kinds of things, including the magazine, all kinds of things. I wound up interviewing very famous musicians, and I had them come play live on the radio show. Chris Christopherson, Peter, Paul, and Mary, people like that. And then when I did my magazine, I had that same idea of famous people. And I interviewed 100 famous authors for the magazine. So what I'm suggesting to people, this can connect you to people who want to be seen and heard and known. And it gives you a vehicle for saying, I want to talk to you. And you can pick the people you most want to talk to and put them on air, so to speak. And it can be a great thing. It was great for me. So I just thought I just remembered that. I hadn't even thought about it before, and being on radio in New York was a big deal because your audience is huge. Anyway, thanks. And by the way, you guys have a great meeting.
Thank you so much, Jay. I think you brought a great point about, hey, through this you can reach to several people, right? So the audience, the wider audience, absolutely true.
It's the widest audience possible is happening right through the internet. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this one quick thing, Gina. So I mean, listening to all the different people, right, in this meeting, right? So I felt some of them are interested in podcasts, some of them are interested in some other social media, or so if we kind of figure it out who is interested in what, right? I would like to connect with them more, basically like someone who is doing podcasts, so we can learn together and help us to improve our skill sets. So I don't know, if that we can plan it in the upcoming meetings, or we can do that offline as well. I mean, if you let us know who is interested in what.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that feedback. We'll start sending some invites out for some meetings, and we'll invite you to planning meetings too. So if you want to be part of the planning where we're really trying to dream up what this could be, you're welcome to be there and have your voice heard. So
yeah, just to add something, Eva, I think we will get to you. You have it. You have your hand up. But Kapil, so this forum we are actually focusing on the content creators,
Right.
which could be anything for podcasts, video creators,
Right.
blog writers, anyone who shares the same passion for content creation.
Okay.
And we also plan to bring more speakers like Solarzar, who has experience in doing podcasts, who has experience in video creations, who has experience in other formats of visual aids.
Okay.
So that's what we are planning to do.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eva, I think.
Yeah, and the other. Yeah,
Yes, and something that
go ahead.
I wanted to I think go in the same thing that you mentioned. Sorry if I pronounce wrong your name, Benu Gopal. Yes, so it's about about everything. It's a lot of I face the fact that there are a lot of apps there, right? To example, how to edit. You record a video, and that video you can put it in different platforms and settings and all the stuff. And there are a lot of apps like that. So the thing is going on my own wanting to look and search and things like that, sometimes it's easier with sharing with someone else that they already using an app and this is very more effective, things like that. I don't know if here will be also that space to, well, depends what they're doing, to share those kind of tips, those kind of information.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Solarzar, you are going to share something. Yeah, you're on mute. Yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, I was going to share something. I didn't realize that.
I thought someone was talking before Eva was taking off. So.
No,
Oh,
Jim was. Jim
that
was.
might have been me.
Oh, Jim. Yeah.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
ahead, Jim.
I know Eva was waiting, so I figured I'd just come back to it. But I wanted to come back to Kapil's question here for a little bit too. I'd echo what you heard from both Jenna and Venu about, yes, your feedback and your preferences will certainly matter in how in the areas that we cover. We figured that there were several different media that we might find people wanting to practice in, and we figured we'd learn what people's preferences were, rotate between them if we need to. Maybe there'd be a podcast week, then there'd be a book authoring week, for example, depending on where the interests lie. So that was one way we figured that we'd try to make sure that everybody's interests get some airtime, so to speak.
Right.
The other really nice thing about this club format is it's a club. It'll be its own little community. You'll get to know the people in the club, and you can certainly connect over shared interests as they come out as the club builds up. So you will definitely find people who are kindred spirits and be able to work together both in the club or outside if you'd like.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think I already connected with one person, So yeah, no, it's yeah, I know it's a great platform, but I was just telling, like, right now I'm not able to figure out the interest of all the people, like what they're more interested. So if I would know, I would reach out to them, directly. So that's what I was trying to figure it out. But anyways,
Yeah, we didn't get to go around and do the poll tonight.
yeah, but I think
I'm sure that will happen.
Yeah, but I think as the more meeting comes up,
Go
ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like you, podcasting and blogging are probably the two areas I'd be focusing on. So, yeah, we'll get around at some point and get everybody's preferences figured out and build the meetings around those.
Sure.
All right. So with that, Jim, I'll just let you close this out. And if anybody has any further questions, I'll hang out for a little bit. So I know we went over a few minutes, but I want to thank everybody for being here. This has really been more than I ever imagined, and it's because of all of you. So big round of applause for all of you for sticking around and being here today. So Jim, I'll turn it over to you and you can close us out.
Okay, well, I wanted to say thank you for all being here too. We got even more people than we were expecting, so we're thrilled you're here, and we hope you got some good value out of tonight. We will be seeing you again. We'll be getting another meeting together probably in 2 weeks. I think we'll also start up some planning meetings on the off weeks here too. So if you'd like to be involved in those, you are welcome at both types of meetings. So what we will do here, I'll get the guest book form around one more time. It's been in the chat a couple of times. But if you can fill that out so we have your contact info, we can make sure that we stay in touch. We hope we see you at some of the upcoming meetings, both either just to participate or view or help plan. We'll keep doing that until we get our magic 17 members from Toastmasters. And probably the other biggest thing you can do to help us is tell your friends. If you had fun tonight and any of your friends would be interested, bring them along. They will get the same benefit and we'll get this club launched that much faster that way. So thank you to all, and we'll see you all again.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Great meeting.
Yeah, we'll be here.